Hi, I'm Michelle Van Benthuizen, and I'm here to talk about trends in education 2021 and beyond. Technology when I was in high school looked something like this. I would come into the classroom and I would see the movie projector in the middle of the room and I would think, oh, yay, it's going to be a fun day. We're going to see some sort of fun movie. Maybe it was a history movie, maybe it was something science related, but it was going to be a good day. Then when I got into high school, we still had the old movie projector, but we got computers at our school. If you look at the picture on the right, that is what our computers look like. They were Radio Shack TRS-80, and they were state of the art for schools. I took a programming class where we learned to type hello and our name. We learned to program it so that it automatically would do it. It was like magic. So that began my interest in all things technology. Now that was the past, and now we're going to look at the present. Mostly today, the present is a lot like the past in that we do have different technology, but we still have the one-size-fits-all classroom. Every student, for the most part, unless they have an IEP or a 504 plan, most students have the same assignments, the same due dates, the same learning activities, and it is just one size fits all. So it seems like that's fair, but is it really fair? Maybe not. Do we all learn at the same pace? Do we all have the same vocabulary acquisition? Do we all have the same background knowledge? No, we don't. So why do we expect students who happen to be born around the same time to all be on the same learning pace? And why do our states and our country expect for students to learn all at the same pace and pass high-stakes tests with the same knowledge? This is where learning analytics can come in. It can help us be more fair to our students, to help them learn at their own individual pace. So what is learning analytics? Learning analytics is where you take educational data that's mined all the time. You have it in every time you put a grade in your grade book, every time your district gives tests, every time there's high stakes testing, and then you have testing centers like College Board, SAT, you have all kinds, you have the ASVAB with the military. So there are all kinds of educational data points that are available about every single student. This combined with business intelligence that has algorithms and learning AI can help schools use the analytics and analyze the data points that they have and use them to help students see a snapshot of what each student knows and help them have an individual learning plan. What are the benefits of this? There are so many benefits. First of all, students have flexibility as to the contents and tools. There's different paces, and different performance tasks that each student would have. Some students who don't learn quite at the same fast pace can slow down a bit and they can learn as they want to. They're not in a holistic classroom where they feel embarrassed, but they're working on their tablet or their computer, and they can just work individually. It'll be the same general standards. It'll be the same standards, but they will have more scaffolding. Then you can have another level, which would be the typical average learner, and they would have certain tasks. They would be different, but they would be the same learning goals. And then one group that kind of doesn't get maybe as much as they need is the advanced students, the ones who need enrichment opportunity. Very oftentimes, their enrichment is just in small groups, having to explain it to other students. There is value in that, but some of these students could really learn so much more in every single class, and this would alleviate boredom. There's targeted instruction, instruction that aligns with the student's need and the student's learning goals. Every learning target would be different for each and every student. And this would give students the ability to take ownership of their own learning. They would have time to reflect, and this would be an ongoing process where they would take ownership and they would have their motivation, and they would have internal locus of control to do their work on their level. Of course, with help from a teacher. We'll talk about that in a minute. But all of this would be driven by data. It would be driven by what students really can do and what level they're on, utilizing their background knowledge, their lexicon, and other markers. Where are most public K through 12 schools now on the continuum of learning analytics development in their districts? This slide shows some steps to accelerate and advance learning analytics development. The first step is being aware. You have your basic reports and you log your data, and then you have experimentation where you get more detailed drilled down reports, and you have dashboards. The next step is multi-tiered. You have organization, curriculum teams, and students. This is where you really get the students involved and they start to take ownership. The students have a dashboard where they can monitor their own learning. The staff has dashboards so that everyone's aware of where the students are, no matter what classroom they're in or what grade. And you have business intelligence tools that come alongside and help determine where each student should be and what level of assignments they should have. There's also cross-system data integration with learning management systems like Schoology, Canvas, mixed with these business intelligence tools to modify and personalize every student's assignments, tests, and assessments. Then you have organizational transformation, where you have predictive models so that you can have interventions for students. You have personalized learning. And then you have sector transformation, where you can share data and innovation, and then you have open sourcing. So I want you to think, and I'll give you just a second to think, where is your district on this continuum? When I think about this, I believe that my district is right about here. We have detailed reports and we have a sample dashboards that teachers have that they can look at students and basically, are they on target, below target, are they proficient, are they accelerated, or needs improvement. But other than that, quite frankly, we look at it and we know who our target students are, which are usually the students that are not being very successful. And when we say successful, we mean proficient. But does this kind of leave the students who are average or what we consider proficient or advanced? Are they still getting all they can out of their education? I'm not so sure about that. So where can we go from here? And how can learning analytics help us? Well, let's not forget Vygotsky and his cognitive social learning strategies. He developed the zone of proximal development, which is the perfect place where students should be, where they can reach a goal if they have help. It's a little bit out of their reach, but if they have support, they can reach that learning goal. So here's what learning analytics can do, and this is a circular system, and it would be repeated over and over throughout the school year and throughout every year with a student. So first, the background knowledge of the student would be measured, and you would have some sort of observational measurement, some online assessment, and then you would monitor. And the way you would do that is you would have their assignment, basically their information, knowledge, understanding, and that's where the assignment would be assigned, and it would be just in their zone of proximal development. It would be a little bit outside their reach without teacher help. But then with the teacher, small groups, individual learning with one-on-one with the teacher, then they could have those interventions put in place, and then they could reach their target. So you would have your goal and your target, and then what you would do is you would have a formative assessment before they took their summative assessment, and you would see, do they have the key information, knowledge, and understanding that's desired? If not, you go through it again until you believe that they're ready and you can test their learning retention. Then you move over here to the last phase right here. This is where the summative assessment would go in learning retention. You go through, and then you come over here, and it assesses and gives you a measurement, and then you have a new learning. Hopefully their zone of proximal development has changed, and then they will have a new assignment. So you can see this is not just one and done where they have the assignment, they turn it in, they passed or they failed, and that's kind of what you've got, and you hope that they can catch up some other time. Some of the challenges of changing basically the way we do, I believe the best way to accomplish this would be to have a flipped classroom where you would have the district take expert teachers that would provide recorded lessons, and the students you would either have a block session and they would listen to the lessons, or they would do that at home, and then when they would come into your classroom, then what you would be is the guide on the side, and you would help them reach their learning target. It would be no more having to plan instruction. What you would have to plan is you would have to plan small group interactions or one-on-one learning to help students reach their goal. So some teachers, they feel like that they love being the sage on the stage, and they really love that teaching. I'm kind of one of them. I really enjoy the act of teaching, and I would have to really let go of my whole group instruction ego, and I would have to really dig deep, and I would have to really learn to appreciate teaching to a small group or an individual and just helping that one person reach their learning target. Also, the states would have to give up some control, because we cannot say that all students learn at the same pace. So the high stake testing that we give would be, if we have individual learning plans, it would be redundant to give them state mandated testing. We would just make sure that they made progress from year to year, and that could be reported. Parents would have to realize that this is not a competition, and they would have to realize that every child learns at a different pace, and they are not in a competition with anyone else. I think we might even have to get rid of top 10 and not really focus so much on the top 10 and everybody having a high GPA. We need to really focus then on success of targets. Have the students learn the standards and targets and met their targeted goals. Also, this would give students motivation, especially those students who have not had success in the past and they have struggled. This would give them motivators and to tell them that they're in control of their own learning. So while you would have the same teacher, you would use different tools and different methodology, and really maybe some really large changes in the way the philosophy and the 4-point scale that we judge students and put them in competition with each other. Maybe take all of that away, have something different. And if we have these things, then same teacher, all these different tools, we could say that this could equal true student success, not based on a number, but true learning.